The fundamental message I want to draw from this story is this very last thing that we read about Lydia. That once she is converted, she invites them into her home and makes it a space for them from which the further missionary journey occurs. It's about radical hospitality as a foundational virtue of the Christian church. And it seems rather fitting that this text falls on Mother's Day, as mothers and grandmothers are so often the figures in our lives who nurtured and sustained and comfort us and provide that sort of radical hospitality and homemaking. I've told this before, that my favorite way to awaken in the morning was at my Manu and Pappy, my mother's parents, the Nixons, because it wasn't an alarm clock, it wasn't grandma yelling, it wasn't being shaken awake, it wasn't even the sunlight through the windows, which is itself a pretty pleasant way to awaken. It was the smell of frying bacon. And I know of no better way to awaken than that. It wafted up the staircase, and the bacon's frying awakened you. Now, I have not been able to convince Michael to get up early in the morning and fry bacon. But it is a reminder of the fact that Grandma was getting up before dawn, before the rest of us, going down, making this big, elaborate breakfast because she loved us. And one way she demonstrated that love was by the labor of her hands in the kitchen, the time that she put in. Getting up before dawn, put the turkey in on Thanksgiving, spending weeks ahead of time making pies and cookies and stuff for Christmas. The people in our lives who have nurtured and sustained and cared for us have so often done it by radical hospitality, by the giving of their time and their energy and their resources to make us feel at home. And that's not just an attribute of those nurturing figures in our life. It is a significant part of the character of the God whom we worship. I have said many times that the most comforting image of God that I can imagine would be an elderly African-American woman with big bosoms who, when you were hurting, could snuggle you up in her lap and just hold you tight and rock you and make you feel good and make you cookies and cold milk. Because God is a nurturer, a caregiver, a homemaker. And so we as the church are invited to do the same thing. That as we want to draw closer to the character of God, we are invited into radical hospitality. But not just of those we love, but of the outcast and the marginalized and the stranger. So if you're wondering how these two stories connect, the story of Lydia and the story of Ben Files, the story of Ben Files is a story of radical hospitality and homemaking by this congregation. And then through us, by extension, the Oklahoma Association and the Kansas-Oklahoma Conference. Ben told me on the phone this week that many of his radical Berkeley friends have said, "You're going to be ordained in Oklahoma?" Well, he's going to be ordained in Oklahoma because there is a community that has created a space in which that can occur. And this historic moment will occur because of the radical hospitality that you all showed a college student who came to visit your doors years ago and who knew where that journey was going to end. And so on this Mother's Day, it is quite fitting that we all be called to become closer to God by becoming homemakers, those who invite others in and make a space for them to be cared for, to be loved, to find assurance and hope. May it be so.